Bonjour and welcome back to my channel, Claude here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about an oracle deck that's very dear to my heart. It is the Egyptian Star Oracle by Travis McHenry. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer here, I am Egypt obsessed, and this is where my husband and I went on our honeymoon. We went on a Nile cruise and it was absolutely amazing. Now this I missed. I wanted to fund it and support it on Kickstarter, and silly me, I just missed it and I was devastated. So my husband went on a waiting list because he wanted to get it for me, and it was supposed to be released around our wedding anniversary, so that would have been perfect. Unfortunately, it took a little bit longer. I think we received it end of April, beginning of May or something like that. But anyway, I was just ecstatic that he managed to get me a copy because it means a lot to me, obviously. So this is published by Bloodstone Studio. Sorry, it's difficult to read. I hope you can see it. And obviously, if you don't want to hear my ramblings, just go to the timestamps and you can go straight to the artwork. And that's the box. It's a two-piece box. It's very nice. It's matte. And you can see already the hieroglyphs printed. I'll explain to you what they represent in a minute. And that's the front. Okay, I'm going to read you the back. May Sobdet guide you along the path of the living. And that was a quote found on the coffin of Meseti in 2100 BC. The Egyptian Star Oracle is nothing like typical themed decks. This authentic Egyptian oracle utilizes astrology as it was practiced by the ancient star priests of Asiut for divination and evocation of the 36 unwavering stars known as decans. Author and occultist Travis McHenry explored the tombs and temples of Egypt, uncovering this fascinating oracle based on the movement of the stars. Each card in this deck contains images gathered from actual tombs, as well as depictions of the decans and spells from the pyramid text used to evoke the power of the 36 gods of the sky who foresee what will come to pass. So I love it because it's very authentic. And you know, there are references that I obviously understand because I went to see all of the temples and etc. So it's really good. It really is. It's not just a gimmicky oracle. So when you open it, you have this on the side of the box, which I thought looked cool. You have a quote from Aleister Crowley: "Every man and every woman is a star." And obviously the other side. And that's it. And then you get the little booklet. Now this obviously is very important to read if you want to understand the cards, because it really helps you. Hold on a second, I forgot to show you the inside, the bottom. So here you have another quote, and I don't think my camera is going to pick it up. It's right here, but I will read it to you. "Ruling over the hours and the days, the supreme judge with many eyes and 777 ears exterminates the bad and gives long life." That's from the Naos of Decades, 360 BC. Wanted to show you this. I know you can't see it, but there you go. So that's the spine of the booklet and the back. May Sobdet guide you along the path of the living, from the coffin of Meseti, 2100 BC. And it is in color. It's very nice. I'm going to read you a little bit about the introduction because it's going to really help you situate the oracle deck. And obviously this is the first edition. So the Egyptian Star Oracle is the first of its kind, an oracle deck that uses only authentic Egyptian artwork, spells, translations, names and meanings to create a divination tool that is wholly and entirely Egyptian. Since the late 1800s, there have been countless attempts to create an Egyptian tarot, but at best these are merely Egyptian-themed tarot decks, and I'd agree with that. I own one. This is because the ancient Egyptians had no concept of the tarot. They did not use the Hebrew alphabet in their magic. They did not interpret their oracles through Persian astrology. They had no interest in Gnostic Christian symbology. The Egyptians could not have used the foreign influences in their magic or their astrology because the Egyptian religion predates those other cultures by thousands of years. The Egyptian Star Oracle strips away these foreign influences by starting at the source, the pyramid texts, the coffin texts, the Egyptian calendar, and the Book of Nut. All of these texts, and dozens of others that were used to build this deck, are older than 600 BC, which is when the first known Persian horoscope was written. A tarot deck is by definition one that relies on Hebrew, Christian and Persian philosophy for its divination meanings. Therefore, any divination deck that claims to be Egyptian must be an oracle deck. A.E. Waite, the man who formed our modern conception of what a tarot deck should look like, said in 1909 in the issue of Occult Review that the tarot as a divination tool originated in France, obviously Tarot de Marseille, using cards from Italy, and any belief that it was Egyptian was pure fantasy. The ancient Egyptians, of course, did not have cards of any kind. When oracles gave answers to specific questions, they were written or on either papyrus, I can't speak today, sorry, papyrus, or on a shard of broken pottery called an ostrakon. In the modern era, carrying around 36 pieces of broken pottery would not be very practical, so this oracle utilizes cardstock instead. And to understand this oracle, you must begin with the mythology of the Decans, the 36 lords of the sky. And their origin story says they were primordial gods who rebelled against Ra or Re. The sun god brought them back under his control by grabbing them by the hair. This is why the Egyptians called these gods the disheveled, the tousled, or the living. And as a punishment, once they were defeated, the primordials were chopped into pieces and thrown into the sky. Even these dismembered pieces of the gods were still powerful gods in their own right. As a group, they were too powerful, so Re instructed Thoth to give each decan a 10-day period of the year when they could rule over events on Earth, hence the Greek name for these gods as Dekanoa or Dekanoi, meaning 10th. So I'm not going to read it all because, you know, if you're interested, then by all means buy it. I highly recommend it. But it goes on to explain it, and it's really nicely colored. There's a lot of info. And this is the anatomy of the cards, which I really like. So you can see you've got the name of the decan here, the decano number. Then here you've got the decan's name in hieroglyphs. So if you're interested in sigil and stuff like that, that's cool. The background is a pyramid text spell. Then you've got the astrological meaning of the card written here, and the artwork depicting the astrological meaning. So that's really nice. Then you've got a few reading spreads, and they are very interesting. We're not talking about your basic one card spread, 3 cards. So you've got Life of a Star spread, clearly explained. You can see birth, combination, inner duat and rebirth. Then you've got the pyramid spread with 10 cards, and again, he goes through each level of the pyramid, what it stands for and what each individual card represents. Then you've got the hours of the night spread, which is right here, goes from the right to the left, so that's a 12 card spread. I hope you can see that. Again, it goes in depth to explain. And then he moves on to explaining the actual cards. So for each card, you get a colored picture. You get the transliteration, the translation, the Egyptian name, the Egyptian calendar dates, the decan group, the card meaning, and the mineral if there is one associated. So let me put it there because it's written kind of small. And then here you have a bit of history and the meaning, of the card, why it's there. So he goes through all of those. And you'd think there's going to be 36 cards, but there's actually more than that, because there is also a 37 decan. And I'm going to read to you just the first paragraph to explain to you why there are 37, despite the fact that it said there were 36. So the 37th decan was devoted to the 5 Epanomenal days. These days were added to align the 360-day calendar with the 365-day solar calendar. This means that Chetwi, which is the 37, only covers half of a typical Egyptian week. And the glyph of this decan is either 2 or 3 tortoises, and so on and so forth. And he explained what the Epanomenal days are on the next page, because you've got extra cards that are lettered instead of numbered. They go from A to E, so you get 5 extra cards. And so they've added the Egyptians added a span of 5 days of festival devoted to the birthdays of 5 major gods, so that it would be in alignment with the solar calendar. And although not actually decans, these cards have been added to the deck to round out the Egyptian year, and they are labeled with letters to distinguish them. And so you've got here Osiris, Horus, Set, Isis and Nephthys. And obviously it's the birth of Osiris, the birth of Horus, and of each of them, and with a little explanation next to it. And then he explains the Egyptian calendar, and you see it's very, very small, but you can see how it works. It's all explained, and it's very nice. And then you have a little bit about the author. So, I mean, without the book, this doesn't really mean, I mean, you have keywords, you can use it just like that, but you know, the book is a wealth of information if you're interested in something that's very authentic. I personally am, as I said, I'm Egypt obsessed. So then we move on to the cards, and they are standard oracle cards size. So I've got average size hands, so you can see they cover my palm, but they're not taller than my hand, so I can grab them. And they have a really nice slip, as you can tell. And they're thin, but they're beautiful to shuffle, and they will withstand use. I've used them a lot in the past 3 months before I decided to review it. And I love the back, you know, with all of the stars at the back. I think this is very pretty. It's a satiny finish, so not glossy, not matte, which I also like. And now I'm going to show you the cards themselves. So let me put my little box here and maybe zoom in a little so you can see better. I hope this is alright. Okay, so you've got the first one, which is New Beginnings and Jubilation. And if you look really closely, you can see in the background the hieroglyphs, which are actual spells from the pyramids. Sorry, I'm touching my tripod. It's really annoying, the noise it makes. So that's the first one, New Beginnings and Jubilations. The second one, Development and Growth. Number 3, Change in Circumstances. Number 4, Construction and Building. And if you're an intuitive reader, I mean, you can really get it. I mean, the illustrations really match the keywords. I find the keywords meaningful. I'm happy with that. But I got so much more from the guidebook. It really helped me with it. 5, Accomplishment. 6, Care and Nurturing. 7, Death and Endings. 8, Fertility and Sex. 9, Being of Service. 10, Truth and Justice. Oh, sorry, number 2 is here. What did I do? Let me just check that. I thought I had them in the right order, but I didn't. No, it's 11. Sorry, I just had a very strange moment of doubt here. It was number 10. Where were we? Yeah, number 10. Okay. Wow, that threw me. Interesting. Anyway, 11, Chaos. I'm sorry about that. 12, Conflict and War. 13, Restraint or End of Conflict. 14, Sowing Seeds. 15, Journey Through Life. 16, Spiritual Struggles. 17, Rest and Repose. 18, Tree of Life and Wisdom. 19, Celebration and Merriment. 20, Melancholy or Sadness. 21, Healing. 22, Love and Romance. And you know, I'm not reading it all because it would be a very long video, but obviously it says under the hind part of the sheep, and they explain to you why, in the booklet it's explained why the sheep is associated with love and romance. It really is very interesting. 23, Mixed Blessings. 24, Harvesting of Rewards. 25, Abundance. 26, Destruction of Enemies. 27, Authority and Power. I've actually seen that on the side of a temple, this exact representation. 28, Creation and Artistry. 29, Possessiveness or Sharing. 30, Respect and Admiration. 31, Writing or One's Legacy. 32, Purification. 33, Illumination or Revelation. 34, protection from all dangers. 35, destruction of chaos. 36, inundation. 37, removal of obstacles. And then we move on to the lettered card, as I was saying. So you've got Osiris, that's letter A, resurrection. B, Horus, strength. C, Set, leadership. D, Isis, salvation. And E, Nephthys, security. So if you are into Egypt and you want to find out things about, you know, how they used to look at astrology, and you want an oracle deck that's very authentic and, you know, and screams of it, and learn something different, I really recommend this, because I've seen several Egyptian oracle decks and I've never kept them. I have a tarot deck that's Egyptian themed, the Nefertari Tarot, which I use for my readings even on my channel. I'll leave you a link in the description box below. This is my favorite Egyptian themed tarot deck and the only one I own. And I've never found an oracle deck, you know, that I thought was not gimmicky when it comes to Egypt, and this really scratches my itch, to put it this way. It's beautiful. The cards are a pleasure to have in the hands. There's so much research and effort and love that came into the making of this deck. I really wish I could have backed it on Kickstarter. But you can find it on the Bloodstone Studio website, which I will give you a link in the description box below if you are interested. So let me know what you think in the comment box below. Do you have this deck, or are you thinking of getting it now that I've showed it to you? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And thank you so much for stopping by as always. And I wish you a fabulous day whenever you are watching this. Until next time, au revoir.